obviously the local services responded earlier. Immediately to it, we were requested by the George municipality through the garden route to respond at the provincial urban search and rescue system. So that's a system that consists of specialists in rescue, specifically from people trapped in structures. There's a number of them. We train them. We spend quite a lot of investment in getting these people trained to a very high level. They were activated. They came from the city of Cape Town, Breda Valley. The South African Police Services play an important role. Their rescue teams, their canine units, as Minister Bredell mentioned, also responded. Our Department of Health's Emergency Medical Services Metro Rescue teams responded. So we had a fairly big team that was able to arrive at various intervals during the night. What we call the surface rescue, so in other words, the people that were not badly trapped but that were injured, they were first treated, and normally it's about 70% of the people were treated, but in this case it was a very small percentage. So we started with firstly doing what we call a line and hail search. So you walk through the whole area and you try and hear people, and we were actually hearing people shouting through the rubble. So that was the first point, and then the dogs come in and the dogs do a verification. Once the dogs have verified that there's somebody, we have high-tech equipment that we can actually start triangulating and pinpointing where a victim is trapped. And then from there, we start working. So it's very, very difficult if you're working with concrete breakers and drillers and that kind of thing close to people. We tried to establish communications with the people. The moment we got access, we would then send water through, if we were able to do that, keep communicating, get a medic to the person. Our big concern was entrapments of many hours where a person's a body part of a person is compressed. So you need to get immediate medical help to them, and we got our medics in as soon as we possibly could. And then we did what we call a controlled release. So that is then slowly opening up and getting the patient out. So during the night, there was a couple of very successful rescues that happened. People trapped for between 16 hours, 18 hours that were actually recovered. What we are doing today is the international standard is 3 days of rescue mode. So in other words, we treat everybody as still alive and we try and rescue everybody. So that's what we'll be doing. So the first part of it was wherever we identified a victim that was trapped, we would work around that area and try and recover. The present moment, as Minister Bredell said, we're in contact with 11 people. We have one area where 4 people are in a basement, and we've been communicating with them. So that's quite a big operation. It'll take them most of the day to get them out. And then what we will start doing later today, once we've got everybody out that we know of, we're going to start a process which we call delayering. So that would mean that we would then start lifting the different floors off each other. And the reason we do that is that there's a possibility that people could still be alive that we haven't seen that are more deeper trapped. So we'll continue to do that, and then we'll make a call after 3 days where we stand. So we're going to give the absolute maximum time to try and see how many people we can rescue. And that will be the ongoing. Teams are being rotated. We are bringing extra teams in. So the morale is really good of the team. And I think we are looking that we will probably try to tie this up by the end of the weekend, I should imagine. Thank you.
Thank you. I think most of the update has been given. So I think it's an ongoing process. From our perspective in George Municipality, the teams who were out there immediately and paid immediate attention to what was needed. So there is an incident command center on site that is monitoring and directing the operation. And then through the district municipality, there is what we call a district job to just take the process away from being on site. So this work is ongoing, and as Mr. Diner has indicated, the process will now follow on the rescue efforts that are being undertaken. So it's quite outstanding to see the work of these teams and the professionalism of that team. we've had occasions through the night last night and early this morning where when they hear some voice responding, then everybody on that site is asked to keep quiet, that all machinery is turned off so that they can make use of that equipment to locate the victim. So that is wonderful to see, and I think what is extremely heartwarming is the reaction from our businesses, from individuals who've come forward and offered food. Even a coffee shop opened up late last night to come and offer coffees and the water and the refreshments and the energy drinks and so forth that is being offered, and those organizations that are busy working on site, tirelessly assisting and obviously helping this very big team of professionals who are on site. Thanks.
Have we found the name of, the construction company that is involved, or the consultant that were on site or working on site as well, as part of this investigation?
We can take one more question for this round. Ilse. We'll start. That's the first round of questions. We'll take it from
the questions that were asked in terms of the owners and the construction company. We're not at liberty to disclose that at this stage. But I think what we need to understand that it is already a criminal site. The Department of Labour has been there to conduct start their investigations, and the police crime scene unit has also been on site to do that work. And from the provincial and the municipal side, we will also be looking at an investigation to see how this incident occurred and how that has taken place. So the nature of this type of construction activity, there's an apartment building that had been erected. We're talking about 5 floors. So that team would have required all of the architects, the engineers, the structural engineers would be involved in that whole process. And so there is a whole chain of command that takes place on that construction activity takes place. So that will also no doubt be part of the investigation.
Can I also say that obviously the decision that was made this morning at provincial level is that planning gets passed and dealt with at a municipal level. So that's why we've appointed independent engineers, and they are going to be on site in, I think, something like 6 minutes. So they're on the way. Perhaps also on the question around the hospitals. So already last night, a number of hospitals already started to clear space, decant patients from trauma units, etc. So they've been ready. So it's not just one; it's a number of hospitals in the region. What I also have is obviously, so we've already got hospitals in the region, but doctors dedicated to it. Dr. Wayne Smith, who's online in this meeting as well, can also answer any questions. 2 other emergency medical registrars. We've got specialist rescue technicians, 15 from George and 17 from Cape Town. Forensic pathology services, 3 managers and 9 forensic pathology officers. Specialized rescue vehicles, 6 of them on site. We also have counseling, social workers and psychologists on site, 3 psychologists and 1 counselor. Our education department has also made space in the education building, which is also right next to the site. so that there's privacy and people can actually go there for that kind of service. And also when I visited the families now, quickly put processes in place so that we will enable them with transport. They've been here already through the night, so some of them need to be able to be going home, fetch perhaps clothes, etc. So we put some transport. I'm not sure that's probably. I see the DG nodding. It's done. So those kind of things are being put in place at the moment. But I see the questions around in the investigation. Of course, that has to happen, and it has to happen while you're peeling off these layers, as Mr. Dana spoke about. But obviously, the main focus here is to save lives and to get people out of this site as quickly as possible.
We'll take some questions that have been posted in the chat box here. I think to the panel, I think it's worth just reiterating, as a lot of these questions are coming through asking for names of developers and contractors and all the rest. So I think it's just worth reiterating that point regarding the investigation and as well as the cause. So there is one question here asking, is there indication at this stage what caused this collapse? So I'll take that as the one question. And then two more here. We've had reports that some trapped victims still have cell phones. Have they been able to use them? Can you confirm if this is the case, and how many victims have reached out to their families? And then one last one for this round, please give us more information about the investigation. So we will reiterate that point again, and who will lead the investigation, and what and will independent experts be included? You've alluded to that already, Premier, but I think just worth once again reiterating.
So can I maybe start, and then maybe Colin can talk about it, because during the night you were in conversation. But on the investigation, as I said, they're a couple of minutes away. I think as soon as they're on site, then maybe what we need to do is engage with them, and maybe we obviously have to have regular communication updates, and in the next press conference, maybe even ask the investigators to come and talk about the framework of the investigation, because we have to make sure that that happens properly, transparently. Listen.
Can we add that South Africa Police Services also got the engineer from Gauteng to come and assist them. So this will be a multi-facet kind of independent investigation. Always got their team, SAPS will have their team, forensic people will be part of this, and the Department of Labour will be part of this, and we will definitely come up with a report from which we can learn, but also determine the cause and then help people responsible.
So just around the cell phone, so during the night, it was reported to us that the person that was trapped was calling his wife and indicating that he was trapped in the building. That was reported to us, and we put that person in contact with the employer who was on the scene. We were concerned about battery life because doing an extrication like this takes many hours. So what we did is we had an agreement that he would turn his phone on at certain times, that we could just save battery life. We did send the dogs to the point where he actually told us in which flat he was in, doing an inspection or what he was doing. So we were able to pinpoint by looking at the building maps and the way that the building collapsed, where the person was. We sent the dogs in there, and then we did a seismic acoustic search, and it indicated where the person was. We haven't released the person yet. That is one of the people we're in contact with, so we're continuing with that operation as we speak.
Thank you. Let's maybe just, if there are any more questions from people who are here in person, any hands? Otherwise, we can go back. Belani, you can have a follow.
Unfortunately, I don't know those names at this stage, and I think we will need to establish them from the Department of Labour. I think the focus at this stage has been on the rescue. I personally don't know.
So the emphasis has been on recovery and rescue of people. That has been the emphasis. not on trying to find the contractor and to be contacting the consultants or any of the professional teams. I'm sure SAPS and the Department of Labour during the investigation will be releasing those details. But I just want to come back to your question about, has the municipality not done any inspections? I think it's important to know that the developer appointed professional teams. This included a structural engineer who is responsible for monitoring and ensuring compliance with the legislation. Also, in terms of legislation, there is a safety representative, and they are responsible for the safety on the site and for the compliance. The municipality does not monitor the professional teams. At the end, the municipality would do a final inspection and issue an occupation certificate. However, during the construction, there are professional teams who are responsible for the site.
Right, Vellani, we've got other questions that have come through, so we need to move this along. Another 3 questions here. Where are the construction workers involved in this project from? And then another one, the Western Cape government has made much of its big construction push. Are they happy that no rules have been flouted during the process to authorize this particular building? And then one to Colin, when does it change from a rescue and search and rescue operation to a recovery operation? What is the time frame you have indicated? But once again, I think it's worth reiterating those details. So let's start. If anyone does have any information on where the construction workers are from, we can start with that. I'm not too sure at that stage.
The list of who's who and where they're from. So I'm not sure of that. I presume that that's sitting with the JOC and the medical teams. And this is a private building, not a government building. But that's, of course, that's irrelevant. It doesn't matter whether it's a private building or a government building. That's why we have appointed these independent investigators.
And then the question on the Western Cape government's big construction push. Premier, would you want to deal with that? Whether you've satisfied any building regulations and rules have been flouted? Again, that's where the investigation comes in.
Again, I mean, I can't comment on that. That must come out of the investigation.
And then, Colin, just if you could reiterate those details, at what point it moves into a different phase from search and recovery?
The international standard that we work on is 3 days. Understanding that a person trapped might have severe injuries because of the weight of the construction. So we give it 3 days. If a person is trapped in an area where there's water, they're not heavily injured, and these being construction workers, and we don't have children or that kind of thing, we are giving it the maximum time, but we're not bound by that. So for example, if we do take off the top layer or top 2 layers and we find people, we will continue to stay in rescue mode. We will make the call to go into recovery mode at a point when we see that there is after 3 days, that will be the minimum, when we see that there is very little hope of finding anybody alive, but that's not what we're focusing on right now.
All right, this is your last chance for questions from people attending the briefing in person. Going once, going twice. There are the hands. Kevin. Kevin, can you put your microphone on?
I'm Kevin from ENCA. I just want to know, would someone be able to bring the building size into context in terms of how many units were built, and if you can maybe talk a bit more about the actual size of the building that was under construction?
I mean, I know that the electricians were moving on, so I think it's multiple companies.
Because we spent the whole night there. That was the first difficulty to determine how many people, because it was different companies. There was painters, electricians, builders, etc. So it was different construction companies that worked on this on the site. But Premier, maybe you can just give the news.
Yeah, so while this conference is going on, it's sweet. One more deceased of the and then one more alive. Dr. Wayne Smith just sent me a note to say one more deceased. So that was of the 26 that were already up, but we've just removed one other person alive.
Kevin, if you could just repeat your question, please.
In terms of the flat or apartment building that was under construction there, how many units, to give us an idea of the size of the entire building, to say, for instance, we're building 50 apartments or 15, or just to bring the size of the entire building into context.
I think it was about 5 floors and a basement, and a lift shaft. I mean, that's all that I really know. But I want to say that we want to have regular press updates, and as soon as we've got the team on site, we can then probably from the investigation team, because obviously that sounds like a lot of questions coming in about what's going to happen about the investigation, the planning issues, and that maybe we can actually have dedicated professional who can sort to answer those questions.
Got one last question, and then we'll close the question and answer session. And I think, Colin, you'd be best to field this question. Somebody asking on social media, can't we have rows of volunteers standing in a line, passing rubble hand over hand, removing that small rubble in inverted commas with qualified rescuers leading the head, giving instructions?
Right, so we're actually already doing that. We have a lot of volunteers. The rescue, what we call rescue technicians, they are the people that are inside breaking the concrete, doing the searching, and we have a lot of volunteers that are doing the movement of the debris. We're trying to keep it a very clean site, and what we mean with that is every bit of debris that gets removed gets taken off site, so that we have an area that is safe to work in under the circumstances. There's a lot, as I said, there's a lot of volunteers. And I think that operation is actually running smoothly. There's only so many people you can put around a building like that, and we have to take that into account as well. Thank you.
So no further questions. I think that brings this media briefing to a conclusion. Just to indicate that the situation is very fluid. There are ongoing developments through the day. We'll do our best to keep you informed. Georgia Municipality has been sending out regular updates in the form of statements every 3 hours, and we will endeavour to continue with that line of communication to keep you in the loop with all the developments. So if I could just appeal for a bit of patience from the side of the media in terms of this ongoing situation. Just to indicate as well, we will be issuing a statement post this briefing to supplement the communications coming from Georgia Municipality's media team, and that will be forthcoming in the next hour or so. But we'll keep you in the loop through our various lines of communication. With that, I'd like to thank everybody for joining us, both online and in person. And we will provide further updates in the form of briefings or traditional communications and on social media as and when we receive those updates. Thank you.